Hello everyone, welcome to Yoga Through the Holidays. This is week 3 and we're going to do a mixture of standing and seated movements. We might also there's an option to do some stuff on your knees, but I'll give lots of options so you don't have to be on your knees because I know that can be really painful sometimes. So we'll start with a standing grounding. So maybe you want to close your eyes or soften your gaze. Starting to notice how your body's feeling. Noticing the air as it comes in and out of your body. Maybe you want to explore some different lengths of breath. So we'll count them together, thinking inhaling 1, 2, exhale 1, 2. Know that all of these breath practices I'm offering are optional. You don't have to do them. So inhale 2, exhale 2. Maybe you want to make that 3. Inhale 2, 3, exhale 2, 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 3. Maybe you want to try 4. Inhaling 2, 3, 4, exhaling 2, 3, 4. Inhale 2, 3, 4, exhale 2, 3, 4. Noticing which do you like better, this 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. What breath did you find suited you the most? I really like 4. But lots of people like longer than that or shorter than that. So exploring what type of length of breath feels good for you. Maybe you want to take some time, instead of thinking about your breath, thinking about your body and how it feels right now, how your legs feel, how your back feels, maybe your chest, maybe your arms, maybe your feet, maybe your neck. How do all of these body parts feel for you today? Is there any tension anywhere? Maybe even pain? I invite you, if that is the case, to be mindful of these areas throughout your practice, seeing if anything changes, or if it becomes worse, or becomes better. Just noticing what the different movements do for the different sensations that you feel in your body. Maybe thinking about your mind and how your mind is doing right now. It's a busy time of year, it can be very stressful. Taking this time for yourself, you should be really, really grateful and hopefully offering some gratitude to yourself for taking this time to practice. Maybe you want to bring some movement into the body, maybe coming onto your toes and then coming onto your heels. You can open your eyes if you want, or you can keep them closed. I personally don't love doing this rocking motion with my eyes closed. I don't know if I trust myself enough, but maybe you do. Just noticing what it's like to have your weight distributed on different parts of your feet. Maybe you want to think about coming onto one side of your foot and then the other side of your feet. Rolling them from side to side. Front, side, back. Like you're doing, you could do a little circle with your feet by coming onto the sides of your feet, your front, your side, back, front. If you're doing that, go in the opposite direction as well. This might feel really weird. It's because it is, let's be honest. We're just exploring, having weight, distributing our weight differently on our body and what that feels like. If you've done both sides, maybe you want to shake it out. Maybe you want to do a little twist. Kick your feet up a little bit. Do some movement. We have some options of things to do here. So I have a chair and a block. I'm going to stand about 2-ish feet away from the chair. And we have some options. So I'm going to bring I'm going to come into a warrior two position, but we have a chair version and a standing version. Well, they're both standing, but there's two versions, and I'll show you both. If you are not using a chair, you're standing in your mountain pose, feet planted on the ground, arms towards your side, tall spine, and core is engaged. You take a step back. Let's start with our right foot. We're taking our right foot back 2 to 3 or 4 feet, whatever works in your body. And instead of our butt being straight, we're just going to turn our heel slightly. So our toes are a little bit of a diagonal with our back foot. You have some options here as to where you want your foot. Do you want it in line, exactly in line with that front foot? If you notice, when I do that, my balance gets a little bit off. So I just like to keep my stance a little bit wider and bending into that front knee. So these are the legs for our warrior two without the chair. With the chair, I'm going to keep in that mountain pose, keep this foot stable on the ground, and I'm going to take my left foot, bring it up onto the chair. So whether your both feet are on the ground or one foot's on the chair and one foot's on the ground, you have that back foot on a diagonal a little bit. And we can come into the same arm variations. So we'll raise our arms up and then out to the sides. Your same leg that's in front is the same arm that's out. So my left foot is in front, so my left arm is out. Front. Looking over those front fingertips, maybe thinking about your middle finger. Also an option to keep your hands at heart center. From here, let's take a breath. Maybe you want to flip your front hand, and we're going to bring it up over our head, taking the other hand and bringing it down, pushing into that front knee, and looking up, or looking down, whatever feels better in your neck. And it's the same leg position as warrior two. You're standing on the ground, having that bend in the front knee, and looking up or looking down. So again, you're choosing what variation works for you. From here, one more breath. We'll come back to our warrior two. So thinking about looking over those front fingertips, taking a breath here, and then an option to bring your front forearm down to your thigh, raising your other arm up overhead, either looking up or looking down, whatever works. This option will look like this, something like this. I personally really like the chair option. I feel like it gives me a really good stretch in my hip. But everyone has different preferences, so choose the variation that you like. We'll come back to that warrior two. We'll bring our hands down. We'll take that foot down. We can shake it out. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So I'm just going to move over to the other side. You don't have to move, but I just want you still to be able to see me. So again, I'm going to move these out of the way. So last time we had our left leg in front. So now if you're doing the standing without the chair version, we're going to bring our left leg back on that angle, bending into that front knee. If you're using the chair, we're bringing the right foot up, pointing this foot out a little bit, and then taking a breath, raising our arms up for our warrior two. Looking over those front fingertips. Option to have your hands here for our warrior two, or down by your sides. We're going to then flip that front palm like we did before, raising it up towards the sky, hand coming down the back and leaning into that front knee. Option, so if you're standing on the ground, your front knee's bent, looking up or looking down, whatever feels better for you here. coming back to that warrior two, looking over those front fingertips again, breathing. We'll come down onto the forearm. This is extended side angle, so our forearm is meeting our thigh. We're bringing the other hand over top, looking up. We'll come back, down, back to our warrior two, looking over those front fingertips again. Then bring your arms down and coming back into our mountain pose. So noticing how that warrior sequence felt for you. Just a note for when you're practicing, again, if you practice on your own, you can do all of those positions from sitting in a chair as well. So there's lots of options. You can also do them from sitting on the ground. So there's lots of ways that you can practice warrior poses. And I'm now going to come to the long edge of my mat. And if you use blocks in your practice, you're going to have blocks out in front of you. I'm going to stand in a fairly wide position, toes pointing out to the sides. From here, take a breath. I'm going to raise my arms up towards the sky. And as I cactus my arms, I'm going to come down into goddess pose, which is a little bit of a squat. I'm just trying to the side so you can see. If you see my butt, how it sticks out, I have to think about tucking my butt under. So squatting down, tucking my butt under. So I'm in this shallow squat, holding it here. You can also keep your hands at heart center or on your thighs or up in the air or out, whatever works, whatever version works for you. Breathing. Maybe you want to go from side to side. You can hear my body cracking. Making sure you're breathing here. Maybe you want to linger back in the middle. Again, my butt tends to like creep its way back out again, so I keep thinking about tucking it under. From here, maybe you want to fold down so your back is like almost flat. You can bring your hands together, thinking about your elbows touching your legs. And an option to bring one arm all the way down, raising the other arm up. Breathing here. And then coming back to the middle, bringing hands together, and we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. You can also bring your hand to a block. Breathing here. Then coming slowly, coming back to center, raising your torso, coming back into that goddess pose, alternating from side to side, getting that movement going. From here, coming back into the middle, pausing, making sure that butt, tailbone's tucked under. From here, maybe you want to hinge at the hips, coming down into a forward fold. We'll breathe here, looking down towards the ground. You can have your hands on blocks. You can have them on your legs. You can have them on the ground, whatever works for you. You can also have your hands in by your feet. And then we'll come up halfway. So you can bring your hands onto your legs, your thighs, or your shins looking forward. Or if you have blocks, you can come onto the tallest version of the blocks looking forward. And then we'll fold down again for our forward fold one more time. And then slowly bending the knees, raising our arms up, coming up to standing, maybe moving your block so you don't trip. Bring your hands down through heart center and down to your sides. So maybe you want to shake that out. Notice how that felt for you. Maybe take a second to notice what's going on in your body. My breath is pretty rapid. My body's getting warm. So maybe you're seeing things change in your body too. Option to explore that. So I'm going to move these out of my way for now. So we're going to do a movement that has the option to either be on the ground or on the chair. Standing on the chair or being on your knees, sorry. So I know that being on the knees feels bad for a lot of people, so there's a chair option that can save your knees. So we're going to come into a low lunge, or this can be a lunge position. So just like we were in for our warrior sequence, we can lean into this front leg and then come out back and forth. So that could be your lunge. You're doing the same movement as in your hip as if you were down on the ground leaning into your leg. Same thing. So you pick if you want to be on the chair or you want to be on the ground. We're just going to lean into our front leg. I have my left leg in front. Lean into it a few times. You can also have blocks on the highest height to hold your hands to make things a little more steady. I like that. Sometimes you can play around with where you want them. If you want them by your side or you want them by your foot. Keep going. I'm just going to get up and demonstrate on the chair one more time. So keep going on the ground. If you're on the chair, you're leaning into it. And then we have the option of coming back onto our heel. So bring the heel of the foot to the base of the chair, toes up towards the sky. So now we're in this half split variation. And we can alternate between coming into a lunge and coming into the split. Lunge, split. If you're on the ground, we're going to come down, we're in our lunge, and this time we'll come back like we're sitting back on our back leg, heel to the ground, toes up to the sky. If you have blocks, I like to carry them with me when I alternate. So I bring them forward in the forward lunge, and then I bring them back in the backwards lunge. So I'm alternating both options, seeing how this feels. So keep going with that. I'm going to get back up, demonstrate the next movement standing, and then I'll show it on the ground as well. So we have our foot up here. We're going to bring it to the edge of the chair. So this is my left foot. I'm bringing it to the most left point of the chair. If I was using my right foot, I would bring it to the most right side of the chair. And from here, I'm going to raise my arms up towards the sky, leaning down. So I have a back on my chair, so I can bring my hands to it. If you don't, you can bring them right down to the seat of the chair. If you have a belly like me, maybe you want to push it to the inside of your leg so you have more space. You can also leave your hands in the back of the chair or option to come down if you have both options on whatever you're using. And this is your lizard pose. If you're on the ground, and we're going to come down, bringing our foot as far out to the side, like maybe a little bit past your yoga mat, further than your hip. I like blocks in front of me. You don't have to use blocks, but you can. And so that your foot is on the outside, option to come on to the outside edge of your foot. And we'll bring your hands down. This might feel like a great stretch for you, or there's another option to come onto your forearms to intensify things. You could also have your hands on the ground and then come down on your forearms. I can't reach both forearms. I don't have the mobility for that, but you might. I can come to forearms on blocks. So wherever you are, if you're on the chair or you're here on the ground, breathe, breathe. Lizard can be quite an intense pose sometimes. So we'll take a few breaths and then We'll slowly work ourselves out of this position. Oh, and we'll come around to the other side. So maybe you want to take a second, if you're on the ground, take a second in hero's pose, which is essentially like sitting on your knees or sitting on your feet, knees in front of you. Taking a second, if you're standing up, just to notice what's happening in your legs. What do you feel? And then maybe you want to switch. So coming to have your other leg in front, and we're going to do that low lunge option again. So if you're on the ground, you're leaning into that front leg. Noticing how that feels. I'm going to show the standing variation. So you have your foot on the chair, and you're leaning into that, leaning in to that front leg, and then coming back to straight. Noticing how this feels here. Breathing. And then maybe you want to start doing that alternate. So coming onto with your heel, toes pointing up, heel on the chair, heel on the ground in front, and then we alternate. So keep doing that if you're using the chair, and if you're on the ground, same thing, bring up my other side, leg in front, so you're leaning in, and then heel to the ground, toes to the sky. And again, you can take your blocks if you use them, carry them with you. So we continue doing that, and then take a second, take a breath, and we can take this foot, bringing it out to the side for our lizard pose. An option if you're on the ground to come onto the side of your foot, bringing your hands down to the blocks or to the ground, or you can come onto your forearms and feel that stretch in your hip. And again, make sure you breathe. So if you're on the chair, your foot's again on the edge of the chair, raising the arms, bringing your hands either to the back of the chair or to the seat of the chair. And again, if you have a belly, bringing it to the inside of your leg. Breathing here, feeling this sensation. Make sure you're breathing. Think about where you feel that sensation. Where do you feel that stretch happening? Taking another breath or two, and then we'll slowly come out of it and shake it out. Whew. Lizard can be quite intense. I feel a little jelly in my legs. Maybe you do too. We're going to come into some cat-cows. So if you're on your hands and knees, you can come into all fours and do your cat-cows that way. If you don't want to do that, you can use your chair again. I'm just going to bring it forward so it's more on my mat because I'm leaning on it a lot. I want to make sure the chair is in a place where it's not going to slip. So I'm going to come hinging at the hips, bring my hands down to the chair, either the sides or the top. And here we have what created our own tabletop position. We're just not on our hands and knees. For our cow, we'll inhale, creating an arch in the spine, looking up. Imagine your chin going up, your belly's filling with air. Think about your butt sticking up, your tailbone sticking up in the air. And then you exhale, rounding your back, looking down. Your chin's going to your chest. You're creating this round shape in your back like an angry cat. And then inhale, alternating, sticking your butt up, arching that spine. Exhale, rounding the back for cat, feeling that stretch. Inhale, looking up. Exhale, looking down. Alternating. And then slowly we'll come to sit down. So you can come to a seated position on the ground, or you can come to a seated position in a chair. I'm going to sit on the ground this time. I really like sitting on top of something. You can sit on a pillow, or you can sit on some blocks. I'm most comfortable when sitting on top of something, so maybe you can try that out and see how that feels for you. I like the sensation of keeping my hips a little bit off the ground, and I'm a little bit higher than my knees are typically. So always you can have things for balance, for support. I'm coming into this butterfly pose, feet together, knees out to the side. Breathing here for a second. If this doesn't feel good for you, you can sit cross-legged as well. We're going to do a little twist, bringing one hand to your leg or to your belly, whatever works for you. Taking the other hand behind and looking behind you. Breathing. And we'll come forward. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. And then coming back to center. Maybe you want to raise your arms up towards the sky, hinging forward, coming down into that forward fold, bringing your hands to your feet, to the ground. If you're seated in a chair, maybe you're holding your legs as you fold down, whatever works for you here. Breathing. We're going to slowly sit back up. Option to come down to a lying position. You can stay seated or you can come to recline. I'm going to recline on my back. I'm going to come into what I like to call constructive rest, which is my favorite recline position. So I'm lying on my back, my feet are touching the ground, knees are up towards the sky, and my hands are down either by my sides or on my belly. And I'm taking a second to breathe here. Maybe you want to do some windshield wipers, moving your knees from one side to the opposite side. If you're seated in the chair, you can do this as well, shifting your knees from one side to the other side. Or if we're coming up to stay in this neutral position. From here, maybe you want to focus on our breath, thinking about those counted inhales again. So let's inhale for 2. Inhale, 2. Exhale, 2. Inhale, 2. Exhale, 2. That might be kind of fast. Maybe you want to try 3. Inhale, 2, 3. Exhale, 2, 3. Inhale, 2, 3. Exhale, 2, 3. Maybe you want to try 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Maybe you want to try 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe you want to try 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Notice if that felt comfortable for you or felt like you were straining to get there. Are you ready to take a couple minutes and rest in silence? Counting your breaths, maybe choosing the breath that feels good for you. Like I mentioned before, I really like 4, but maybe you like 5, maybe you like 3, whichever one works for you. Counting your breath, taking this time to rest. And know that this is something that you can come back to at any time once you have a number that you like and enjoy. Maybe you find it relaxing to count your breaths in your head. I know that when I get a little bit stressed, my breathing tends to speed up a lot. So sometimes I need to think about counting my breath. I like to count in 4s, but maybe you feel something else. So take some time, rest in whatever way is comfortable for you. I want to thank everyone for doing this practice with me. It means so much. And I hope that you have a wonderful holiday season. There's one more of these videos coming. So again, take care of yourself, rest your body, rest your mind, and I hope you're able to spend time with some people that you love. Thank you.